Watching TV has changed over time. Streaming has become the new norm. That's why Golden State Media Concepts television podcast dives headfirst to the world of cord cutting. Want to be on the loop of what's hot in Netflix? Or if it's not a preference, what about original shows in Hulu? We've got you covered. Join us as we fill in the blank and talk about movies to stream and what show you should be binging. This is the Golden State Media Concepts television podcast.
All right. Can you believe that happened? I can't believe it. Hello and welcome to the GSMC television podcast. We're part of the mighty GSMC podcast network. And I'm your hotter than July in the middle of July host, Howard Fletcher. And I'm joined as always by my trusted engineer, Jack the Black Pug. And we are positively honored and thrilled to be here with you once again. If you are new to the show, I'd like to give you a very warm welcome. I'd like to thank you for giving us a try. We appreciate you choosing to spend some time with us. Listen, we know you got a lot of choices out there, and we truly appreciate that you would sit down and let me blather in your ear for a few minutes. Stick around. I'm sure you'll hear something you like. We want you to keep coming back. And if you're one of our loyal return listeners, you know how I feel about you. You are truly the reason I'm here. Let's have some fun. We have another jam-packed show for you today. The GCPD, that's the Gotham City Police Department, is returning to the small screen. The Television Critics Awards announced their list of nominees. I will review them with you. My girl Lucy Liu over in Ishii snags another gig. AMC is trying to hold on. Those are the movie folks. And they've stopped threatening Universal. We'll go over that story once again. And I'll bring you breaking news as it comes. And finally, we will be recapping and putting the cap on the first season of Starz series Hightown. I know you can't wait for that. I can't wait for it either. But first, let's get started with some breaking Another Bad Marriage Show news. Oscar Isaac and Michelle Williams are attached to star in an HBO limited series adaptation of Ingmar Bergman's Scenes from a Marriage, Variety has learned. Bergman's version aired on Swedish television in 1973, consisting of 6 episodes. Bergman directed the series with Liv Ullmann and Erland Josephson starring. The new version is set to re-examine the show's depiction of love, hatred, desire, monogamy, marriage, and divorce through the lens of a contemporary American couple. Williams and Isaac will also executive produce in addition to starring, as we've seen over the, recently you get these big stars on a television production. They better be executive producing. Haggai Levy will write, direct, and executive produce. Michael Ellenberg will also be an executive producer. Now, coincidentally, I saw some Ingmar Bergman flicks on Turner Classic Movies earlier this week. Yeah, I saw The Virgin Spring and The Hour of the Wolf. Those were some weird flicks, folks. They were weird, but they have stunning cinematography, really great visuals. Most of them are based, though, in dialogue. You know, there are a lot of important words that are being spoken, at least to what Bergman wants you to know. And so I'll be very interested. I will be watching the Scenes from a Marriage. I've heard a lot about it, never seen it before. Now, Ellenberg, the former head of drama for HBO, has been working on adapting Scenes from a Marriage for years. It was one of the first projects announced when he launched Media Rays, that's his new production company, 3 years ago, or newish production company. The show is also a reunion of sorts for Ellenberg and Levy, with Levy having projects at HBO during Ellenberg's tenure as an executive. Michelle Williams that is, recently picked up an Emmy and Golden Globe for her leading role in the FX limited series Fosse Vernon. She also previously starred in the hit drama series Dawson Creek earlier in her career. That was a while back, folks. Williams is a celebrated film actress, having been nominated for 4 Academy Awards for her roles in Brokeback Mountain, Blue Valentine, My Week with Maryland, and Manchester by the Sea. She also received a Golden Globe nomination for those same roles, and she won for My Week with Maryland. Her other film credits include The Greatest Showman, which was not the greatest movie, Venom, Shutter Island, which I enjoyed a lot, but you got to watch it more than once, folks, and The Station Agent, which is a classic. Isaac starred in the HBO limited series Show Me a Hero in 2015, for which he won a well-deserved, I think, Golden Globe. He was also nominated for a Golden Globe for his starring role in the Coen brothers film Inside Llewellyn Davis. He also sang in that. It was pretty good, loosely based on sort of a Bob Dylan type of thing. Elsewhere on the film side, he's also known for starring in the new Star Wars franchises Poe Dameron, as well as films like Ex Machina, a very good movie, A Most Violent Year, good movie, Annihilation, another good movie, Drive, a good movie, and Triple Frontier, which I didn't see. But obviously, Oscar Isaac picked some good flicks. His upcoming film projects include a starring role in the reboot of Dune and The Card Counter. Now, I'm looking forward to the reboot of Dune. I'm not a Dune guy, meaning I've never read the book, and I'm not a big fan of that world, that universe, because I just never read the books, never was big in it. I liked the David Lynch movie, and I enjoyed watching that, even though I know a lot of people who were fans of the books did not like that movie, and the critics didn't like that movie. I did. So, looking forward to the reboot of Dune. Now, I'm calling him Levi. He might pronounce his name Levy, so I apologize if I'm incorrectly pronouncing his name. Odds are I am. Previously co-created the HBO limited series Our Boys and the Showtime series The Affair, which I watched, and it was up and down. Had some very good seasons, had some also not so good seasons. He also created, co-produced, and co-directed the highly acclaimed Israeli TV series Bet to Pull. I believe I'm pronouncing that right, but as again, odds are I'm probably not, which was later adapted to the HBO series In Treatment, which I'm pronouncing correctly. So it should be okay, because In Treatment I didn't watch every episode. I saw a few of the sessions, so to speak, in the episode, and they were good. I really admire productions, especially writers who can, like a My Dinner with Andre type of thing, they can have a one setting, one conversation, and make it interesting. And that's what In Treatment was like. Here is some breaking new show in the works news. Lucy Liu has been cast in the lead role of Ashana Goldberg Meehan's multi-camera workplace comedy Pilot at ABC, formerly known as Bossy, and it was also known as The Kids Matter Now, but it doesn't have a name right now, but it's in the works. Liu will play Devon, described as a fierce and powerful head of Shelter, a large and successful modern furniture company. Now she, that being Devon, the character that Liu is playing, is known as a force and is unfamiliar with failure. But when she adopts a baby, she is ill-prepared for the task of parenting and feels at a complete loss as how to be a mom. And I know a lot of my peers who are like that. I have never raised a child, and so I have the utmost respect for those who do. And I'm not trying to, I know it's not easy, but I think a lot of people will be able to relate to this comedy. In addition, Liu will also serve as a producer. The pilot is one of several that ABC pegged to shoot later in the year, once production can safely resume. Most broadcasters' pilots this season were thrown off course due to the coronavirus pandemic, which shut down physical production across the industry. Other pilots set to film later this year at ABC include Rebel, starring Katie Sagal, who I'm a big Katie Sagal fan. Wasn't a big Married with Children fan, I will say that, but I did like Sons of Anarchy. I thought she was excellent in that, and hopefully this will be just as good. And Home Economics, starring Topher Grace. Not the biggest Topher Grace fan. He does well at what he does, but, let's see if he can carry this one, because he usually plays just like the irritating, nerdy side guy. We'll see. Should the show get picked up to series, it will mark a return to broadcast TV for Liu. She previously co-starred in the CBS drama Elementary for its 7-season run. Wow. Now, I didn't know that Elementary was on for 7 seasons. I think she did play Watson and got good reviews. Liu also previously starred in the hit Fox series Ally McBeal, where I think she made her bones, I'm pretty sure. I'd never really seen Lucy Liu before then, or if I did, she didn't make any impression on me because the first time I can remember seeing her was on Ally McBeal, where she was fantastic. Most recently, she starred in the first season of the CBS All Access anthology series Why Women Kill. Her other TV roles include Southland, Difficult People, and Dirty Sexy Money. Now, on the feature side, Liu recently starred in the Netflix film Set It Up. Other film roles include The Man with the Iron Fists, brought to you by the RZA, and the Charlie's Angels franchise, the one before this Elizabeth Banks one, and the Kill Bill movies. Now, let me say something about Lucy Liu really quickly. Lucy Liu, before I found this article and I really started thinking about it, I can't ever say that I saw Lucy Liu put in a bad performance in anything. Now, she's been in some questionable movies. As much as I like RZA and Wu-Tang and some Kung Fu movies, The Man with the Iron Fists, not a good movie in my assessment. And some of those Charlie's Angels movies left a little bit to be desired, and some other things. No one usually bats 1,000, but Lucy Liu has always been pretty good in the things she's been in. And I must say that in the Kill Bill movies, I enjoyed Oren Ishii, let me pronounce it correctly, better than, I just thought her character was the best one. I did. And she really delivered. Now, she has also become a director in recent years. From what I understand, she directed multiple episodes of Elementary, the show that she was on, where she played Watson. And I watched all of the Marvel series on Netflix, including Luke Cage, which I thought was very good, which some people didn't like for reasons I won't get into on this podcast. But I thought it was very well done. She directed, I believe, 2 or 3 of those, and they were all good. And she directed some episodes of Graceland. She's producing in this yet-to-be-named comedy. She probably produced in some other things I wasn't aware of, but she is the producer, not an executive producer, a producer on this unnamed comedy that she's doing a pilot for. So in other words, Lucy Liu is now what you call the triple threat. And I really am excited about this because I would love to see her succeed, because I just think that I think she's flown under the radar. She's been employed. So, some actors would say, hear me say that and say, what are you talking about? I'm out here waiting tables trying to get a break, and Lucy Liu is still, she's working all the time. Well, that's true. And there are a lot of actors who are out there who aren't employed, who are good enough to be employed. They just haven't gotten a break. But there are actors who get their breaks and they don't perform. Lucy Liu has performed every single time, and I think she's extremely talented. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because you all might have noticed that I'm here to confess I didn't notice. I always just took her for granted. And I'm hoping that now, finally, she's been in the business for decades, or at least 2 decades I can think of, probably approaching 3, that she gets an opportunity now to really be a contributor, because, we're at a time now where someone like a Lucy Liu can make a major impact on the industry, and I think she has something to offer. And so I look forward to people who I see as being talented, not people that just because she happens to check certain boxes and she's a woman and she's of a particular ethnic group and all of that. That's not what I mean. I mean that 30 years ago, Lucy Liu wouldn't be given the helm of a TV series. She wouldn't be given this opportunity in the United States, over here. That's all I'm saying. Now she can, and I hope she does get that opportunity, because I think she can deliver. That's the big thing. I'm not all for giving people just opportunities just because they are in a particular group. I think she's earned it, and I'm looking forward to her delivering. So that's my Lucy Liu rant. You'll probably never hear that one again. Well, who knows? You may hear it again if she does what just what I said. But I never thought I'd be talking about Lucy Liu on this podcast as much as I am today. So there you have it. Next, I am going to go over the Television Critics Association Awards. Didn't even know they existed before now, but I'm going to talk about them. I'll let you know the nominees. I'll tell you who I think will win in some of the categories, and I'll tell you who I think should win in some of the categories. So go get some refreshments. We got to pay some bills. Be back in a moment. Don't go away. Thanks for listening. All right. So I killed Bill. It was okay. I like part one the best. All right, we're back. You know, there was a limited series, HBO. Yeah, I talked about it on this podcast. You know, I love it. And there was another limited series, Unbelievable. It's on Netflix. I didn't watch it, but it had my girl Toni Collette in it, so I know it was probably pretty good. Well, both of those series have picked up the most Television Critics Association Award nominations for 2020. Both series snagged 4 nominations each, including the Outstanding Achievement in Movie or Miniseries and Program of the Year categories. In addition, Watchmen picked up a new program nomination, as well as one in Individual Achievement in Drama for Regina King, while both Caitlin Dever and Merritt Weaver of Unbelievable also saw love in that performer category. AMC's Better Call Saul, FX on Hulu's Mrs. America, Pop TV's Schitt's Creek, and HBO's Succession came in closely behind with 3 nominations each, followed by FX's Better Things, Netflix's Dead to Me, Hulu's The Great, and HBO's Insecure. Each of them earned 2 nominations. When it comes down to how the networks fared, HBO, as I would have expected, took the top spot for the second consecutive year, this time picking up 16 overall nominations. It was aided not only by the series that I mentioned before, but also by a Black Lady sketch show, Euphoria, and I Know This Much Is True. All of those picked up nominations, all those shows. Netflix followed with 10 nominations, the shows that I mentioned previously, as well as kids programming Carmen Sandiego and the YA hit Never Have I Ever. FX and FX on Hulu picked up 7 nominations. Hulu and PBS Kids both earned 6. NBC picked up 5. And filling out the rest of the ballot were AMC and Pop with 3 each. And CBS All Access and Disney Plus with 2. Coming in the end, ABC, Apple TV Plus, Bravo, Comedy Central, ESPN, MSNBC, and TBS each with 1 nomination. The 36th annual TCA Awards normally would have been an in-person ceremony this summer, coinciding with the biannual TCA press tour. The coronavirus pandemic tabled live events, so it tabled that one too, with the winners being announced later this summer for the TCAs. A Career Achievement and Heritage Award winners, they're going to be announced later this summer as well. The TCA Award nominees are selected by a roster of more than 200 professional television critics and journalists from the United States and Canada. Voting took place virtually last month. I wasn't one of those critics. So, of course, I'm going to go over a list of the nominees and the categories that are important to me. I'm going to do it as time allows, but if something has to get dropped, it's not going to be a category I like because it's my show. And I will let you know who I think should win the honor, and I'll tell you who I think will win the honor. So, here we go. Oh, let me say one thing about these awards. You know, I talked about Asia Kate Dillon from Billions a couple of episodes back. She was invited by the SAG Awards to be a host, and she asked them to make the awards non-binary. You know, she is non-binary. And that's all I'm going to call her. And if you're listening, Asia, which I hope you are, I don't know how you describe yourself. I'll describe yourself as a non-binary actor, and I hope that's correct. I know she uses the pronoun they. And they told the SAG people that she wanted to go, I keep saying she, and I apologize, that they wanted to go non-binary. And SAG said they are not. They're going to keep it where it is, where it's just best actress and best actor and that type of thing. So she decided not to participate, which I respect. And hopefully they will go the way of the Television Critics Awards, because the Television Critics Awards that I'm about to go over with you now are non-binary. They just talk about achievement in acting is as far as how they did, your skills, regardless of gender. So here we go. This is individual achievement in drama. The nominees are Kate Blanchett, Mrs. America, that's an FX on Hulu production. Caitlin Dever, Unbelievable from Netflix. Regina King in Watchmen, HBO. Mark Ruffalo, and I Know This Much Is True, HBO. Rhea Seehorn, Better Call Saul on AMC. Jeremy Strong, Succession, on HBO. And Merritt Weaver, Unbelievable, and Netflix. Now that is a strong list. If any of those people win, it won't be a snub for the other people. This is one of those hard ones. I'm going to say that this is who I'm going to pick, and this is who I think is going to win. Rhea Seehorn for Better Call Saul, because I think she threw down this particular season. That said, if any of these other people win, it'll be, well earned. I love Regina King. I hate not being able to name her name. Mark Ruffalo played a double role very well, and I know I know this much is true. So to say he doesn't win, if you say he wins, understandable. Kate Blanchett always turns in a stellar performance. And I didn't see Unbelievable, and I don't watch Succession, so I won't speak on the other actors, but I'm sure if they're in the category with the rest of those people, they are just fine too. So that's that. Here's the next one. Individual achievement in comedy. Nominees are Pamela Adlon, Better Things on FX. Christina Applegate, Dead to Me on on Netflix. Elle Fanning, The Great on Hulu. Catherine O'Hara, Schitt's Creek, that's on Pop TV. Issa Rae, Insecure, HBO. And Rami Youssef, Rami on Hulu. I think Catherine O'Hara and Schitt's Creek is going to win that one. Just like the other category. Well deserved. If she doesn't win, won't be a snub. I think she's going to win because of her body of work and the fact that Schitt's Creek is about to go off the air. Next, we'll have Outstanding Achievement in News and Information. This is a show category. We're going to talk about shows. Programs. The nominees are 60 Minutes on CBS. Frontline on PBS. Hillary is on Hulu. The Last Dance, ESPN. McMillions, HBO. And The Rachel Maddow Show, MSNBC. All of those shows were very well produced. Did not see Hillary, so I'm assuming it's good. Like I said, if it's on the list with these people, with these programs, I'm sure it's well produced. I'm picking Frontline because Frontline always wins. In my book, they are just done. They do it the best. They just do. They have the best people in the business working with them. They do it the best. However, if somebody else wins, now Frontline's won 8 times, according to what I found. So if they don't win, it's not going to be heartbreak. They've won 8 times in the past. Outstanding Achievement in Reality. I'm not picking a winner here because I don't watch any of these shows, but I'll let you know who was nominated. Here's who was nominated. Cheer, Netflix. Encore, Disney Plus. Holy Moly, ABC. Making It, NBC. Top Chef All-Stars, LA. Bravo Channel. And We're Here on HBO. Good luck to all the nominees. Here's Outstanding Achievement in Youth Programming. Again, not picking a winner. Not qualified to pick a winner in this one. Here are your nominees. Carmen Sandiego, Netflix. Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, PBS Kids. Molly of Denali, PBS Kids. Odd Squad, PBS Kids. Wild Kratts, PBS Kids. Xavier Riddle and the Secret Museum, PBS Kids. So if PBS Kids doesn't win in this category, they were robbed, I guess. Unless Carmen Sandiego on Netflix is just way better than the rest of those shows. Here's Outstanding Achievement in a Sketch Variety Show. And your nominees are The Black Lady Sketch Show, HBO, The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, Comedy Central, Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, TBS, Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, HBO, Late Night with Seth Meyers, NBC, and Saturday Night Live, NBC. I'm going to pick Last Week Tonight with John Oliver just because that's my favorite of the group. Again, if any of these shows wins, then I'm sure it's well deserved. I'm wondering if Full Frontal with Samantha Bee might be a choice. I don't watch that show that often just because I'm usually asleep at that time and I don't record it. I'm usually asleep when Last Week Tonight comes on, but I just record it. But Samantha Bee, I think, is very talented. I think she has a great staff on that show, so we'll see how that one goes. Outstanding Achievement in Movie or Miniseries. Your nominees are Little Fires Everywhere, Hulu, Mrs. America, FX on Hulu, Normal People, Hulu, The Plot Against America, HBO, Unbelievable, Netflix, Watchmen, HBO. Now, those of you who listen to me know what I'm probably going to pick, and I am going to pick it. I'm going to pick Watchmen on HBO because I thought, and I'll give my reasons later on, I thought that was just a monumental undertaking and very well done. They should be acknowledged for that. A nomination is an acknowledgement. I understand that. I think they should win in this category. Who I think I would win, though, if I was placing a dark horse bet, would be Normal People on Hulu. Because people whose opinion, I've never watched Normal People. Let me put that one out there now. But people whose opinion I respect greatly love that show. And so it's one I have to watch, but for them to continually talk to me about this show makes me think that I'm missing something, and we will see how that goes. This is Outstanding New Program. Your nominees are The Great on Hulu, The Mandalorian, Disney Plus, The Morning Show, Apple TV Plus, Never Have I Ever, Netflix, Watchmen, HBO, and Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist on NBC. Now, I mentioned Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist on NBC a couple of shows back because this is a freshman season for them. They were one of 7 shows that NBC premiered this past season, and NBC has canceled the other 6. All of them axed. Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, obviously a very good show. I haven't watched it. I enjoy the commercials. I think the woman who plays Zoe is attractive. I love watching the commercials. I don't think it's a show for me. I'm not probably the fan of the musical, but this show must be good for it to make this list and not get axed by NBC. Who do I think is going to win in this category? I think The Mandalorian is going to win in this category because it's a very well-made show, and my friends who are Star Wars heads, they love it, and if it made their cut, it has to be good. Okay, let me get a move on because we got to go get through this. Outstanding Achievement in Drama. Your nominees are Better Call Saul on AMC, The Crown, Netflix, Euphoria, HBO, The Good Fight, CBS All Access, and Pose, FX, and Succession, HBO. I think that Succession is going to win this one. I would like Better Call Saul to win it because I think they are probably the best show on that list, and I love Better Call Saul. They still might. They won last year. I think Succession is going to get recognized this year. Outstanding Achievement in Comedy. Nominees are Better Things, FX, Dead to Me, Netflix, The Good Place, NBC, Insecure, HBO, Schitt's Creek, Pop TV, and What We Do in the Shadows and FX. I think Schitt's Creek is going to win this one because they are leaving and it was highly acclaimed by critics. I think the dark horse here is What We Do in the Shadows. I hear good things about that show. I only saw the movie. I haven't watched the show, but I think that one might be your dark horse winner. And your very last category is Program of the Year. Better Call Saul, AMC, Mrs. America, FX on Hulu, Schitt's Creek, Pop TV, Succession, HBO, Unbelievable, Netflix, Watchmen, HBO. All right. This is a tough one. Again, whoever wins this, no one was snubbed. It's all good. I'm going to pick Better Call Saul because I think that's the best show of the year. They had a great year last year and they even improved on it. It was better. I know Watchmen is on this list. I know Watchmen is my, show that I love, but I think they're just really doing something special over there in Better Call Saul. And I think that was the best show of the year. That said, any of these win, I'm not going to say like, wow, Better Call Saul got robbed. All of them are very good shows. All of them. So that's it. That's your Television Critics Awards for the year. When we get the winners, I will come back to review this list and show you just how wrong I was. Next, I'm going to talk about Gotham City coming to your television one more time. Don't go away. I'm going to go pay some bills. Be right back. Thanks for listening.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Yeah, what do you think? I don't watch it. You like Succession? All right, I'll have to check it out. We're back, and listen, HBO Max. It's given a series commitment to a drama set in the Gotham City Police Department from Matt Reeves and Terrence Winter. I heard that from an article on Variety.com, and I know you're not surprised, but this is exciting news for me. The untitled series will be set in the world Reeves is creating for the feature film The Batman, with the intent being to launch a new Batman universe across multiple platforms. Now check this out. It is said to build on the film's examination of the anatomy of corruption in Gotham City. Now, it is the first project announced under Reeves' new overall deal with Warner Brothers Television Group. There's a quote, "This is an amazing opportunity, not only to expand the vision of the world I am creating in the film, but to explore it in the kind of depth and detail that only a long-form format can afford. And getting to work with the incredibly talented Terrence Winter, who has written so insightfully and powerfully about worlds of crime and corruption, is an absolute dream," Reeves said. Now, Winter is writing and executive producing the series. Reeves will executive produce under his Sixth and Idaho banner, along with the company's Daniel Pipsky and Adam Kassan. Here's a quote, "We are so fortunate to have great partners in Matt, Dylan, and Terry, and unprecedented access to a wealth of IP from our partners at Warner Brothers and DC," said Sarah Aubrey, head of original content for HBO Max. Reeves is currently directing and producing The Batman, which is slated to hit theaters in October of 2021. Thank goodness. Because if it was October of 2020, it wouldn't be making it. Reeves' other feature credits include War for the Planet of the Apes and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, the former of which he co-wrote and directed, and the latter he directed. Now, the first one I think is the best one. I think War for the Planet of the Apes is really good. On the television side, Sixth and Idaho is currently producing the Netflix series Away and Amazon's Tales from the Loop. I talked about Tales from the Loop on this podcast. Haven't watched it, but it got high recommendations from the critics. The company is also behind the NBC drama pilot Ordinary Joe, starring James Wolk. In television, Reeves co-created and executive produced the hit series Felicity many years ago for the WB, which no longer exists, alongside J.J. Abrams. He directed the pilot and several additional episodes. Winters, Terrence Winters that is, I love this guy, previously served as a writer, executive producer, and director on the landmark HBO series The Sopranos. He earned 12 Emmy nominations for his time on the show, winning 4. He then went on to create the HBO series Boardwalk Empire, which I highly recommend, especially if you like Steve Buscemi, and co-created HBO's Vinyl, serving as the showrunner and executive producer on both shows. Now, Vinyl is a show that focused on rock in the 70s. I think it was, in fact, I know it was also co-produced with Martin Scorsese and Mick Jagger. It just didn't do well. I don't understand why. Well, it had some flaws. I think the character that was the main character that was played by Bobby Cannavale, which was very good, but he had some drug problems, and I think they spent a little bit too much time on him being strung out and not on the music. I think if they had focused more on the music, the show would have succeeded. On the film side, Winters received an Oscar nomination for his work on the screenplay for Martin Scorsese's The Wolf of Wall Street. Here's a quote. Our collaboration with Warner Brothers in DC allows us to elaborate and grow fan connections across these powerful brands for years to come, said Kevin Riley, Chief Content Officer of HBO Max and President of TNT, TBS, and True TV. Kevin Riley is the man. He's balling out of control. Did you hear that? Let me repeat. Kevin Riley, Chief Content Officer of HBO Max and President of TNT, TBS, and True TV. Here's the rest of his quote. This is Batman as most audiences have never seen before. And we know fans will want to spend more time in this new world inspired by the film, end quote. This show will now be the second specifically about Gotham's police department. Fox aired the drama series Gotham from 2014 to 2019 for 5 seasons and 100 episodes. The show chronicled the career of Jim Gordon prior to Batman's first appearance in Gotham City. Now, I used to watch Gotham, and I liked Gotham. Gotham was one of these shows that had 100 episodes. So during the course of that 100 episodes, it went off the rails a few times, in my opinion. I mean, there were some times when I've been reading Batman since I was a child. And I really like the characters, and I like the mythology. So I think I hung with it. I was just going to say, I'm going to ride this thing till the wheels fall off. And the wheels fell off a few times. They luckily took it to the shop and put it back on the rails. But it went a lot of different directions. So I hope that Reeves and Winters can do a little better job holding this together. I know it's not going to be as campy as Gotham. Gotham went sort of on the campy side with the villains. The villains were more like the Batman of the 60s, but it was very violent. It was a very violent show. Sometimes I was shocked at how violent it was, but it was a very good show. Let me go back to the article. This is also the latest DC television project to be set up at HBO Max. It was previously announced that J.J. Abrams and Bad Robot Productions are developing a Justice League Dark series for the streamer. Others include an Aquaman animated miniseries with Greg Berlanti executive producing. Greg Berlanti is everywhere on the DC side on television. They're also doing an untitled Green Lantern series and a series adaptation of Strange Adventures. Now, I never was a big Green Lantern person, but Green Lantern is a very important character in the DC universe, and it's too bad that nobody's ever done it right. We'll see what they can do. I think the special effects of the Power Ring is challenging because it's one of those things that I think really has to be, it almost needs to be animated. You know, Green Lantern live action, that's a tough call. We'll see how it goes. Meanwhile, Elizabeth Banks is executive producing a comedy series in development for HBO called DC Superhero High. Coincidentally, because I didn't see it in the theater, I wouldn't, that's not for me, but I ended up watching that Charlie's Angels movie that Elizabeth Banks made. a couple of nights ago, actually. I just recorded it because it was on, and then I was up early one morning and I had it on. And I was very impressed with that production. Elizabeth Banks can direct. Some of that direction, especially the action scenes, was very good. And the criticism that the movie got at the time by some critics was that the plot was too complicated. Now, I appreciated the complexity of that plot. You know, was it a bit ridiculous? Of course. But I mean, it's James Bond is ridiculous. So, but the thought, I like directors and I like artists that trust the audience that they're going to get it. And Elizabeth Banks just said, look, I'm going to write this plot the way I want to write it and just pay attention. And I really like that. So I like Elizabeth Banks too. So just like I gave the big, rah-rah, the big endorsement to Lucy Liu, I'm giving the big endorsement to Elizabeth Banks too. And I hope that the suits in Hollywood don't get too caught up in the numbers game. Because now, did Charlie's Angels turn a profit? Absolutely. Was it off the charts gangbusters money like Mission Impossible? No, it wasn't. But Charlie's Angels probably is never going to do that type of money. So she did a very good job, and I hope she continues to get jobs. And I think this DC Superhero High should be good if she is at the helm. HBO Max is also airing or set to air multiple shows from the streaming service DC Universe. Doom Patrol's second season is airing on both HBO Max and DCU, while the animated series Harley Quinn is set to become available on HBO Max in the future. Now, I don't know what's going on with DC Universe, the streaming service. I don't know what their membership is like, but apparently it must be falling off or something because they are leasing out and releasing a lot of their IP. And so I don't know if it's going to last, which probably it shouldn't. I mean, and some of these streaming services are just by the nature of the business going to fall to the wayside because there's a lot of competition coming online. Peacock's about to come online, and, you know, Disney Plus has not really gotten up to speed yet on original content. I think Apple TV Plus needs to surge, and they got the money to do so. We'll see what they do. And HBO Max is coming in hard. So DCU, I think, may just start producing shows on other streamers and just drop their own streaming service. Here is some breaking AMC hanging on news. AMC Theaters reached a debt agreement on Friday that could help the heavily leveraged exhibition chain avoid or at least forestall a liquidity crisis. Under the deal, Silver Lake Group will purchase $100 million in first lien notes, adding to the $600 million in convertible bonds that it already holds in AMC. The theater, which is the world's largest theater chain, said in public filings that it will raise $200 million in cash by allowing debt holders to swap their securities at a discount. As part of the deal, the interest they will receive will either be 10% in cash or 12% in additional notes that would be due in 2026. Now, what does all that mean for those of you who don't care much about finances? What it means is that AMC is in financial trouble, and they are juggling and digging a big hole, trying to hang on through this coronavirus pandemic so they can reopen. AMC said by renegotiating its debt, it will help to manage it stay solvent through 2021. The company's been hit hard by coronavirus, which has forced it to shutter its chains, depriving it of income. Even before the pandemic, AMC had amassed a great deal of debt to outfit its theaters with luxury seatings like those ones you like to kick back in and, drink sugary drinks, and buy competitors like Carmike and Odeon. The company ended 2019 with more than $4.75 billion in corporate borrowings. In June, AMC acknowledged that coronavirus, which forced it to shutter more than 1,000 theaters and lay off or furlough more than 600 employees, could push it into bankruptcy. The debt renegotiation may clean up its balance sheet and help AMC avoid a Chapter 11 bankruptcy, but the theater chain still faces significant challenges. It is banking on coronavirus infection rates falling significantly so it can start reopening. Now, and it's hoping that in the new cleaning and safety measures that it's implemented, it will give customers the confidence they need to return to the cinemas. Christopher Nolan's Tenet and Disney's live-action remake of Mulan are key parts of that strategy and are currently slated to open in August. However, many insiders expect that a surge in COVID-19 infections may make that impossible. Okay. This insider is going to say, let's switch out that word may and let's say will make that impossible. You see, I have no vested interest in seeing AMC go down. I know I talk about them a lot on this podcast. As a matter of fact, I want the opposite to happen. The chain employs several thousand people. Thousands. Not to mention that other businesses that supply them with health foods like buttered popcorn, soda, and nachos. Okay, I'm being a little sarcastic there. But it would be a blow to a decent segment of our economy if AMC went down. A big blow. However, I will never stop mentioning the poor decision that they made at the beginning of this COVID outbreak to threaten to ban Universal Studios movies from their venues because the studio decided to stream Trolls World Tour on video on demand rather than wait for it to go into the theaters. And by the way, if they had waited like AMC had asked them to do, they would still be waiting to put Trolls World Tour in the theaters. AMC's corporate leadership, much like some of the government leadership we are experiencing in the world right now, failed to understand the seriousness of this pandemic. And I would argue that as leaders of a multi-million-dollar organization, their upper management should have seen this as being a harbinger of a changing marketplace, not just some flu thing that was going to, eventually go away. They should have been making alliances with studios and streaming companies to see if there was some way that they could create some type of hybrid shared distribution situation. Rather than declaring all-out war on Universal and any other studios that would try to make their money back rather than wait around for something that was not going to end. If I could see that, and I'm just some schlub doing a podcast here, folks, and that reads and happens to believe the experts, they should have been able to. So while I hope AMC can get themselves out of it, I do believe that investing more money into the same old way of doing business is foolhardy. And I think they're going to lose if they continue down this path. They're just betting that things will go back to normal. And I know that might disappoint some of you, but I don't think it's going to go back to normal. But this is an opportunity. Change is an opportunity. And they're not taking advantage of it. And anyway, that's my business report for the day. No, that's why the reason it's on the TV podcast is because this is a opportunity for streaming services to become a bigger part of people's lives, of entertainment. And AMC should see that by now, at least. And it's just disappointing to see that they are still going to leverage all this money and dig a bigger hole for themselves, trying to reopen a theater and do it the way they used to do it. So that's it for my rant. Next, guess what? We get to talk about Starz Hightown. So your boy might get fired up about that too. I haven't seen it yet. It comes on tonight. When I record again, it's going to be tomorrow morning after watching the finale. So go get some refreshments, get ready, get a stiff drink, edibles, whatever. Be back with Hightown after this. Thanks for listening. All right, here we go. Hey, boy. Here we go. All right, we're back, and after a week's hiatus, we are back as Hightown, which has already been renewed for a second season. I told you all that a few weeks ago. Bows out with an open ending and lots of unanswered questions. At the heart of this, though, are two protagonists who, as we see from this episode, haven't really learned anything or grown as characters across this season, something you've heard from me before. The season 1 finale of Hightown begins with a flashback to the past as Jackie and Junior sit together drinking and discussing his baby. As they celebrate with cheers and exclamations of #bless, the echoed voices cut back to the present and Jackie looks over the dead body of Junior, laying there in his not yet zipped closed body bag, and she struggles not to feel emotional. She's trying to keep it all together. So apparently, he was as dead as he looked 2 weeks ago at the end of the episode, because I wasn't sure whether that was just a cliffhanger or he was actually dead. Well, folks, he was dead. Unable to hold it together, Jackie heads home and wallows in grief. As a way of getting over her pain, she heads back to the bar and decides to get up to her old tricks, drinking with a girl there. And as uneven as I think this show is, and it is uneven, it's been consistent in one area. Jackie is a party animal and a chick magnet. Okay? I have yet to see her strike out with anyone on this show. In fact, every woman she hits on, the next scene they're in bed. Almost without exception. None that I can remember. Anyway, it's been 2 days since Junior's death, and Ray struggles to get a grip as he desperately tries to find Osito. The results come back from the lab, and it confirms that Junior died of an overdose of dope laced with fentanyl. But Ray refuses to believe this. He still thinks that Osito had something to do with his death. So instead, he turns his attention to Kathleen, that's Osito's girlfriend, and he takes her in for questioning. Eventually, she breaks, and she manages to give Ray some crucial intel on how to go moving forward against Osito. Now, Renee the dancer, she visits Frankie, the father of her child, in prison, and admits that she's not sure how much longer she can continue this charade of seeing Ray the cop and coming to visit him when he may never even get out. But eventually, she continues to be faithful to him and to stay with him. And just as Frankie brandishes a ring and asks her to marry him. And she says yes, but it's very clear that she regrets it, because when she leaves, she starts to cry in the car. So with Jackie's court date coming up, Jackie continues her downward spiral and drinks herself into oblivion. In the morning, she attends Junior's funeral, where Ray happens to be in attendance too, because in P-Town, you just go to everyone's funeral. I don't know why Ray is at the funeral. To tell you the truth, I mean, I just don't. I don't know what he expected. I don't think he expected Osito to show up. But anyway, he's at the funeral. After the service, Jackie's approached by Donna. Now, Donna is Junior's wife, now widow. And Donna apparently is pissed. She shouts at Jackie and she forces her to leave. She tells her to get out. And Jackie, looking very guilty about something, I don't know, she says, I'll leave, whatever. Now, apparently, Donna somehow blames Jackie for Junior's death. And I don't know if she thought that Jackie was a bad influence on him or whatever. I know the last time they spoke, Jackie said that she was going to try to find Junior. But the fact that she didn't find Junior, I don't see how she can hold Jackie responsible for that or accountable for that. But anyway, I know she's upset and emotional because her husband just, she has a child that's less than a year old, and her husband was just found OD'd in a bathroom stall of a bus stop that was supposed to be going, to take him out of town. I know that was probably not the thing you want to hear, but I don't know why she holds Jackie, why she's upset at that, but I guess she's just displacing her anger. Who knows? Outside, when she's leaving, because Jackie's leaving, she runs into Ray, the cop, who was in one of the front rows of the funeral, but for some reason isn't, he doesn't feel like he can go into I was about to say reception, but I guess it's the repast, whatever's after the funeral. I don't know why he feels like he can't go in there when he went to the front of the church. But anyway, she runs into Ray and he agrees to let her tag along for his upcoming raid of where he thinks Osito might be. And that's twice now that he's let her tag along on a raid that could be very dangerous. And I think the writers are pushing it a little bit. Though what do I know? I'm not a cop in P-Town, but it just seems a little odd to me. Anyway, in the morning, Ray, and they're about to go on this, this raid. Ray briefs the group as they head over to Wayne's house. They bust. Now, Wayne, let me to refresh your memory about who Wayne is. Wayne is the drug dealer that's across town who Osito got drugs from because he was going to eventually stop working for Frankie. At least that was his plan. He was going to start getting his drugs from Wayne. And that's where he got the hot shot that he wanted to give the girl that he smashed her face in with the iron. You still with me? Okay. So they go to Wayne's house and they bust down the door looking for the fentanyl because they assume that the drugs that Junior got were from this guy Wayne, since Frankie's in the joint. And they wanted to see if he had this fentanyl. Anyway, they don't find it. They do find some weapons. And so they decide to take Wayne in because, you know, he has these weapons that look like assault rifles of some type. And he doesn't have any registration for them. So anyway, they take him in. So while they're searching the house, Jackie happens to go outside because she's upset because she doesn't, you know, they didn't find any drugs and she thought that they were going to find out who killed Junior. Anyway, Jackie happens to notice Osito pulling up in her car with a fast food bag as as he's wont to do. And she tells him to freeze, pulls out a gun, fumbles with it a little bit. He shoots her. Luckily, she has a bulletproof vest on, so one hits the vest, and the other shot he shoots at her hits her arm, and she winds up in the hospital. Ray ends up wounding him enough, so Osito crashes the car, which I believe is Jackie's girlfriend's car, into a parked car during his getaway, and also he's wounded, and I guess he passed out at the wheel. Now, this is the third time, by my count, that a car has ended up crashing into a parked car on the side of the road on this show. Now, I'm not saying that isn't a probable occurrence. Sure, it happens all the time. But it seems that for a show that only had 8 episodes, for them to have 3 times this happen 3 times seems a lot. But anyway, that's the way Osito went out. He got shot, and they took him to the hospital, though. He might pull through. So since he shot Jackie, Osito will almost certainly be looking at jail time for firing at a police officer, especially since Jackie is Fish Police, which is a federal police. He was shooting at a federal agent, which I'm sure the court doesn't smile upon. With Osito done for now, Ray turns his attention to Frankie. And so he visits Frankie in prison. And despite antagonizing him and admitting that Osito will probably reveal everything when he's awake, and so Frankie, you're done, your goose is cooked, Frankie remains calm and cool. In fact, Frankie says, as Ray's about to leave, she tastes like spring rain. Isn't that right, Ray? And he chuckles, and Ray's entire face changes, and he immediately stops smiling as he realizes that Renee has been playing him all this time. So I guess I could get 2 things out of this. 1, Ray put 2 and 2 together really quickly, and Renee really does taste like spring rain, because he knew exactly what he was talking about as soon as he said it. Anyway, things take a turn for the worse when Ray is called into the station and news of his affair with Renee is made public. Only Renee has clearly spun what has happened and concocted the story that Ray seems allegedly to be forcing her to perform sexual favors because she was the CI. And given that she was a witness in the case against Frankie, it certainly doesn't look good for Ray. So all charges against Frankie are dropped because of this, which seems extreme to me. And Ray is suspended without pay. He turns in his gun and his badge. And in sharp contrast to this bad fate, Jackie learns that her case has been dropped by the DA. Thanks in part to Alan, who is Ray's partner, Alan's intervention. Now, how Alan knew about Jackie's DUI, I have no idea. They didn't explain it. I guess the police just know about everybody's pending charges. But apparently he put in a good word with the DA because he helped get Osito, so they dropped those charges. So Jackie goes to the station to thank Alan, and when she arrives at the station, she learns that Frankie has been released, and he's out on the loose. And so she visits Ray to learn the truth about what happened, and Ray explains to her why he was suspended. Alan, meanwhile, visits Osito and offers him a deal, while Renee, all this is like in a montage, while Renee arrives to greet Frankie as he's being released from prison in his fly, all white, very, gangster looking suit, or was a light colored suit. I don't know if it was white. And Jackie is watching from afar in her car to see that he, puts on his shades and everything looks great. And she's kind of worried, as one would, that Frankie's getting out of jail. As the episode closes out, a bus leaves town with Aileen. Now, she is one of the daughters of Wayne, the drug dealer that I talked about earlier, who got busted with the guns. Wayne is the other big drug dealer other than Frankie in town. And his daughters weren't arrested or detained because they had no reason to take them. So they didn't find the drugs because the girls knew where the stash was. So we see the girls get the drugs out of the stash, and they're on the bus. And Aileen tells her sister, who goes unnamed, I believe. I don't know her name, but they're the two sisters, and they're young. She tells her that things are about to change, as they're about to take over the drug market in Cape Cod and P-Town because Dad said those folks are soft. So as Hightown bows out its first season, it's clear that Jackie and Ray have learned nothing from their actions, and lack of closure does little to alleviate that either. So Jackie in particular has gone from a girl obsessed with drinking and having sex to mask her pain to a girl obsessed with drinking and having sex to mask her pain. The character arc, or lack thereof, really hurts the integrity of this show, which is a shame because now that Frankie is free from prison, there's certainly some promise for the second season. I'd imagine we see a lot more Frankie next time around too, since he'll undoubtedly be going after Ray and Jackie for messing with his operation. I think you can see that in Jackie's face when she was witnessing him being released. Having said all that, Hightown ends its first season indifferently, and despite some nice bits of drama dotted through this hour, the finale was entertaining. I will give it that much. It does little to shake off the issues that's been plaguing it since the opening chapter. And that is that these people are just not likable. They just aren't. And I don't want to sound crass or cruel or anything, but if any of these characters, Junior was the main character, him being out of the picture does nothing for me. I don't really care that character's no longer around, and I could say the same for any of the characters that were left. Anybody could have died, and it wouldn't have bothered me. And that's not necessarily good. Can a second season improve on what we've seen here? Well, given the low bar that's been set so far, that's definitely a possibility. And with that, that's the cap on Hightown, and that's it for this episode of the GSMC Television Podcast. It's been brought to you by the mighty GSMC Podcast Network. I'd like to ask you, please remember to subscribe to the show and write a nice review because it helps us. And also, could you please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram? Please remember to email me at podcasthoward@gmail.com with any requests from the show and any feedback. I read all email on the show. Just haven't gotten any emails that have anything that's any type of commentary. It's just a line or two, nothing that I can really worth sharing on the air. Listen, I know we're in very strange times right now. They're very challenging. Let's all try to pull through this thing together. We're still in a worldwide pandemic, so please remember to wash your hands. Limit your close and personal interaction with people if you can, as much as you can, and just wear a mask when you go out of the house. Please. It helps everyone, and we all want to get past this. And I'm one that believes that that's part of it. So let's all try to pitch in. Have a safe and fun week. I'll be back Friday with another episode. And until we meet again, stream with care. Jack and I love you guys. Be kind to one another. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Television Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.